Hi, this is odeean. Today I'm having a look at Transformers G1 SkyLynx. Well, technically not G1 because this is the Encore reissue which I bought a few years ago. Typically I'd show you the box, but I bought this at a stage where I was throwing out Encore boxes, so I don't have that to show, but it was pretty similar from what I gathered to the G1 box. SkyLynx was one of those characters when I was a kid that I used to just watch over and over again, looking in my catalogue. Him and Fortress Maximus were the ones that I could never find and always wanted, and I really lusted after this when I was growing up. And as soon as this became available, I did just jump on it. I think it was $80 at the time, which a few years ago seemed expensive, although today it doesn't seem quite so much so. For those of you who aren't huge G1 fans, SkyLynx is a really prominent character in the show. He's, especially in Season 3, in quite a few episodes, and he's kind of the counterpart to the Predacons. So if you've got a Predacon reissue, which I'll show later in comparison to this guy, it's a really good idea to pick up SkyLynx just so you can have a bit of cartoon fun on your shelf. When you get SkyLynx out of the box, the first thing you notice is that he's really feels like a G1 toy. The plastic feels similar, so it's a big departure from a more modern toy engineering. But along with that comes the question about whether this white plastic is going to last, because almost everything that was this white in G1 is yellow today, and I'd be really disappointed if the recipe for white plastic hadn't been updated by Takara Tomy in that time, because I'm hoping this will last a really long time. But it does make me paranoid about my fingers being on this too much, because no matter how clean my hands are, they're always, you know, human hands are always a little bit acidic, a little bit greasy, and I just, I'm paranoid about what touching this white plastic is going to do in the long run. So more often than not, I kind of try to avoid it, and I'm guessing it's also going to be a really good idea to not put this in too much light if you want to keep it nice and crisp and white. I don't have any evidence that it's not going to last, but it's better to be safe than sorry. This guy came with a sticker sheet, and you can see some of the stickers which I've applied down the side here. And over here, Autobot symbols on the wings. Now, this silver section was painted on, and I'm not sure if in the original it was a sticker or painted, but this is done really nice, and it kind of makes me wish that these had been tampoed or painted on as well, because they were, I mean, if I show you up close here, you can see I've got a little bit of damage to one of the stickers here, and it's only going to get worse with time. So definitely my preference for these things would be some other method besides stickers. But this was a kind of earlier Encore, and I think these days they're tending towards less stickers, although I know they haven't been pushed out altogether. So what can this guy do? Okay, first of all, here's a space shuttle carrying this big slab. If you don't like the look of that slab, you can quite easily just detach it and put it aside, which I will. And you're left with a pretty straightforward, plain looking space shuttle from like the 80s. Maybe, what was the space shuttle back then when this came out? Columbia? Maybe this looks like the Columbia. And it's pretty nice, pretty accurate looking spaceship. The proportions are really good, much better than spaceships like Jetfire from Armada, who are really stylized. This is a kind of authentic Earth looking space shuttle. On the underside, we do get a bit of these bird legs poking through, which are leftovers from the transformation instead of landing gear. And that's the one compromise that kind of ruins the aesthetic. It would have been nice if there were some little wheels to pop out there instead of just these bird feet. Let's get this part transformed. Okay, so we're going to pull this backwards like this, and then it hinges out on a door. Grab the tail and just pull it out like this. That's the first section of tail. Grab that section, and then pull out the remaining section like this. And you'll see when you've got it the whole way, you get it to the point where it can really bend down like that. And the good thing about that is that you can shut this door and close it. If you don't pull it the whole way, you're not going to be able to close the door again, and that's kind of important to get it to look right. The next part is we're just going to bend these legs down. So SkyLynx can form two separate modules, and to fully have this bird module, he needs his feet. the next part is just arc the whole front section out like this, and you'll see that it kind of does the opposite of concertinaing. It sort of expands out and gives you the neck of your bird or pterodactyl, dinosaur, whatever. And finally, split his jaw so that the teeth are revealed. Now you can orient these pieces in whatever way you see fit, and you know, I don't like it when it starts to fall down this way, but it's flexible, but no way looks 100% perfect, but it's pretty good for G1. The final part of this is to bend out these little flaps in 2 sections for the wings. It's a pretty straightforward and easy transformation, and there we have it. If I can get it to stand, let's pull back a little bit. SkyLynx. Now, we don't normally see SkyLynx in his standalone bird mode in the show. More often than not, he is joined with his kind of chimera mode, where I think it's some kind of cat section, or the Sphinx section is joined to him. But for now, that's what we've got. Let's move on to the next section. So this kind of block is like the payload under the space shuttle. So on SkyLynx's particular thing, maybe he's a cargo carrier, but either way, this can transform into some kind of quadruped, and to do that is pretty straightforward. But when he's in this mode, these legs tend to move pretty freely, but to get it back to this mode, it's important to note that these little buttons on the side here need to be depressed. So for example, if I put this leg down into its final position, you'll see it doesn't want to go back to the reverse transformation, and forcing it will definitely break it. But the way we get it back is to just depress this little button with your fingernail, and there you go, easy as that. So let's go ahead and pull all the legs down. Then there is a dual tail. Don't ask me why, it doesn't even look like a tail, but nonetheless, that's his tail. And then finally we raise this section, and out comes the head. And it's a nice chromed gold head, very nice to look at. Give you a little bit of a close-up of that. I quite like that head. What it lacks in size compared to the body, it makes up in character. I almost wish that SkyLynx's face was more often displayed this way, because that's quite a nice looking face. A nice looking Autobot symbol on the top, another one of the stickers. You'll see he has these red stickers on the back as well. They were also ones I had to apply. Now, one of the features of this part of the toy is that he has a battery case. And you can see I've got 2 AA size batteries in there. If you look closely, focus, you'll see that on the left we've got walk, on the right we've got roll. So in the payload mode, these wheels can roll by themselves, pushing the guy along as a car, but you know, that's much less fun than walking. So let's let him have a walk. Here we've got the on-off switch. Oh, he doesn't like my floor here, it's a little bit bumpy. Let's give that another try with this smoother surface. So you can hear that it sounds a lot like toys like G1 Omega Supreme, and it walks a lot like a Zoid. It's one of those old school kind of Zoids back from the 80s. And if you pull apart these legs, which I'm not going to do now, it has a similar mechanism inside as to what Zoids has. And it's appropriate, because I think Tomy was the one who made Zoids. So I believe now Tomy is the one who provided the mold for this, so it could be reissued. So that's pretty awesome. SkyLynx must have a split personality to be able to control both these halves of himself at the same time. I like that idea. It's kind of like flywheels in G1. I was always kind of fond of him. Let's get the two parts of this into the ultimate form. So it's pretty easy. All we've got to do is bend up these feet like what we had them before, flip those around, get them underneath, and then put this head down on the bottom part, and then these big chunky pegs are just going to peg straight in, and that's done. As easy as that. Now, as I said before, this makes him into some kind of chimera, and he's pretty awesome looking. And one of the best things about him is just the sheer uniqueness of this. I've never seen any other robot toy that was this kind of split between a four-legged animal and a pterodactyl. I really love the way SkyLynx looks, and he can still walk in this mode. If I can just flip him on. So that engine is quite powerful. I mean, it's a bit awkward, but it's definitely powerful enough to move him, and probably a bunch of other stuff if you wanted to pilot on top. Here we've got SkyLynx posed with his rivals, the Predacons, which is pretty apropos considering that we have the Feral Rex coming out soon. In fact, that's what's got me in the mindset to show this Encore version off, just because I've had these guys out in anticipation of what we're about to get. And I mean, getting them out, I've forgotten how fantastic these reissues actually are. I do have the Western version, which is all plastic, which is kind of crappy, but these die-cast versions of the Predacons are really fantastic and make a great display here with SkyLynx. For a more modern size comparison, here we've got War for Cybertron Bumblebee with SkyLynx. Here we've got world's smallest Transformers Optimus Prime. What else have I got around here? Here we have Titan that I was reviewing a few days ago from God Mars, just because he's so awesome. And here we've got one of SkyLynx's arch enemies from Season 3, a Quintesson. Give us the Quintesson Journal, SkyLynx. Your mind is insignificant next to my genius. You shall not have the Quintesson Journal. Get out of my sight. Give it to us. Give it to us. So my final thoughts on Encore SkyLynx. Encore SkyLynx is pretty awesome, and I don't know, a little bit difficult to get now, although it's probably not too much. One thing I find is that because of his inbuilt flexibility from his joints and what have you, he fits with classics really well. So if you've got a good classics display and you're thinking, what's my SkyLynx? Well, G1 SkyLynx, he's your SkyLynx. He fits just fine. All his modes look just right, and he can bend in all the kind of right places just because of the way he's built. So he's definitely worth picking up. The $80 that I paid, at the time, before I was used to spending that much, I thought, geez, $80. Now, $80, you know, that's fine. It's a good price for this guy. I'm sure if they reissued him again, he's probably going to be more than that. So definitely pick up SkyLynx if you can find him. This has been my review for Encore SkyLynx. I'm Odeean, and thanks for watching.